Sound is coming on, mic turning on.
Okay,
All right.
breaker breaker 19.
Are you good to go?
Are we good?
Oh, let's see.
Cindy's on the phone.
Okay.
You there, Cindy?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, welcome everyone. Let's start with the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I want to make mention that Cindy Powell is joining us via phone and Mr. Moore is out of town, so we will convene.
TV?
The volume on TV?
Yeah, sounds like it's echoing.
Yeah, it is
Oh.
echoing.
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any signed in visitors?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion with the consent agenda? Anybody?
No.
All right, with that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve it.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, let's move on to our discussion items. Mrs. Goodson, can you tell us about the new state testing?
Yes. Can you pull up that attachment? As we've talked in earlier board meetings, we're having it's not a new state assessment, it's a new platform. So the Idaho Reading Indicator was on a platform called iStation last year. It is now on a platform called Amira. And I wanted to run you through, so we have some beginning of year to mid-year comparisons and a different type of metric that I learned about at a state training that I think is really beneficial to look at. So if you'll scroll to the next one. So if you remember, I typically provide the board a like tier 1, 2, 3 overview of our students, grades K through 3. And that is relative to an ISIP score. And that's what the state utilized when we had iStation, and they still utilize this score even though we have Amira. One of the things to point out about the ISIP score is that it does not include the use of oral reading fluency. And the last time this was normed was pre-pandemic. So that's one consideration, because I think in order to understand the data that we look at, we need to understand the metrics that are used for the data. At my training that I attended last week, I learned about the ARM score, and that's the Amira Reading Mastery Score. And this provides a really comprehensive overview to peers nationwide. It also includes oral reading fluency, and this is normed annually. So both of these are normed assessments. What is nice about the ARM score is that it provides what we call a grade level equivalent, or a GLE. So for example, you'll see down here in the screen, an ARM score of a 2.5 means grade level 2, month 5 of school. So if I were a second grader right now, or we had a second grade student and we are now in the 7th month of school, we would anticipate that a student would be a 2.7. So what this metric tells us is how well the student can read compared to their peers nationally. So it's not that students can't read or they don't have skills, where we typically think of that ISIP score as, well, if they're red, they can't read. So this lets us know where they land. You just scroll to the next slide. And so they take those grade level equivalents and they provide us with a percentile range. And percentile is different than percent. A percent is typically how we grade a test. You know, if I got 9 out of 10 correct, I got a 90%. A percentile is on a curve, and it shows how students perform compared to other peers. So if somebody's at the 70th percentile, they are scored as well or better than 70% of their peers nationwide on this test. It's called what we call a peer comparison. Those types of percentiles are used for things like response to intervention, special education, and gifted and talented. So that's where those come in. So when we look at reports that align to the science of reading, which also aligns to our new reading curriculum with 95% group, there are two basic sides to what we call the reading rope. The bottom part is the word recognition, which is what we think of as the foundational skills that have decoding, phonological awareness, and high frequency words. And then the language comprehension on that purple part of the rope is background knowledge, vocabulary, and structures and reasoning. And all of those things together intertwine to make a very strong group. That's what we need for really strong readers. So when we look at the data, and so this is a beginning of year, so BOY stands for beginning of year science of reading percentiles, and our middle of year science of reading percentiles. You're going to see that we are noticing overall district-wide about an 11 percentile growth from beginning of year to middle of year. Similar to tier 1, green is good, tier 2 is yellow, and tier 3 is red, or level 1. This just breaks it down into the kind of shades of green for us, the shades of tier 1. When we look at grade level performance, so kindergarten beginning of year percentiles to middle of year percentiles, we went from an overall mastery of 34 at being at the 34th percentile to being at the 56th percentile. That's a huge gain for our kindergartners. For first grade, we're looking at going from 37 to 56. Again, we started at a level 2 or a tier 2 overall, and now we're overall sitting at a tier 1 at the 56th percentile. For second and third grade, we're noticing growth, just not at the same rate as we are for kindergarten 1. So from the 50th to the 54th percentile for second grade, and then for third grade from the 51st to the 54th. The interesting part about these is you'll know that all of our mid-year scores are showing at a tier 1 percentile. It's not until we drill down to the class level or the student level that we're seeing the tier 2 and tier 3. So this is an exciting report that provides our teachers and our parents an overview of where our students are standing with regard to a grade level equivalency. And then I've added in there for you guys to look at the school-wide data in case you want that breakout.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any right now.
Okay. You guys?
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our fireworks program.
Okay, so typically over the last several years, fireworks for the 4th of July have been held over at Foot Park and what's the other one over there? That side of town.
Hawthorne?
Hawthorne. Middleton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Anyway, over that side of town, last year, the City Council in Greater Middleton Parks and Rec that run those asked if we could look at utilizing the middle school property for the fireworks show, and they would actually set up the fireworks in the field outside to the south, and then people could come to the middle school property, the football field, those areas, and watch the fireworks show. This last year, we were going down that road, but then the farmer, they had planned it after the farmer had already planted his fields, and it was in wheat time, and probably wasn't the best thing to shoot off fireworks in a dry wheat field. So they chose not to do that last year. This year, farmers planted corn, and the city, it is city property, and the city has asked that we allow for people to utilize our facilities for the fireworks to watch. And then there needs to be an approval by the board, because there's a couple of the parts of the firework display that will actually be on school property, just on the, if you can think of the access road on the very back south part of the property, it would be set up there, and we'd have plenty of fencing, and they'd have, we'd have people staged to make sure that that's safe. But we see this as a good opportunity. They're allowing for, we've kind of worked out that our student groups could set up to do some of the fundraising concessions, things like that, as a way to raise money for their different groups on that day. And so we've been coordinating with the city on that, but needed the board approval to finalize that we can hold those fireworks on our property. Any questions?
I went to the firework display here last year, and parking was pretty rough. It seems like there would be more parking.
Yeah, the parking, they'll be actually coordinating with the rec center, and so there'll be activities and things going on all the way along the street here. So
Seems like an improvement then.
It would be good.
Yeah.
Good community thing. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, calendar proposal.
All right, we've got a proposal for the 2026-2027 school calendar. Biggest part of this year, as you recall, we had to move things around just to be able to get all the days in with where holidays landed. We'll be going just that, those 3 days past Memorial Day this year. But next year, the 26-27 school year, we would be proposing to start students on the 17th of August, with teachers arriving the week before on the 10th. And then the last day of school would be the 27th of May, which would be the Thursday before Memorial Day. So get back to kind of what we've tried to maintain. There's a couple of things that we've adjusted based on feedback from teachers and parents and administrators. And one of those is January 4th, which is the Monday back after the holiday break, that we would make that a professional development day. Allows teachers to come back from the holiday, come back to start before they start a new semester, have a day to get all of those things put together. With students, so that would be January 4th, and then students would actually start back after the break on January 5th. Another change, based on this last year, we went without spring parent-teacher conferences at the elementary schools, based on some feedback, and it's kind of a mix. We'd probably have, I would say, close to 50% that would prefer to have parent-teacher conferences, and 50% that would prefer not to. And that, I'm talking about staff members that are looking there. We sometimes have a hard time getting parents there, but our staff members have indicated that that is a time that they can have some of the tougher conversations with parents when students are struggling. That time frame actually works out well for that. And so based on those factors, we opted to put that back in for this 26-27 school year. The other change we've made is to remove a day for PSATs and SATs listed on the calendar as a day where half the school wouldn't be there. We'll still hold those tests, but the high school feels like they're able to manage those days with the whole student body there. And having that in place allows for that extra day on January 4th, where students aren't there, but teachers are.
Okay.
I think those are the main aspects of the calendar that differ from anything things that we've done in the past. Ms. Pennington, anything else that you're aware of that I've missed? Okay. So any questions on that calendar?
I don't have a question, but I really am pleased that there was the talk about having the parent-teacher conference added. I think I agree with the teachers that said they needed to have, that's a good time to start talking about where their kids are, and if they're not doing as well, to be working on that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree with that too, for sure.
Looks good to me.
All right.
How soon will we know the graduation date? Where is it?
Mr. Hollinger.
I know
will
he's
be
in
up
here.
next.
It won't tell us until after the 22nd when we do our graduation.
Okay, that's okay. That's fair. That's,
So we'll have it a year in advance.
so we'll know after graduation this year.
Sometime after.
I'll say that on the
Yeah,
record.
Yeah, I don't know like how soon it'll be, but.
That's okay. Thank you.
So one thing, Mark,
Yeah.
Dr. Gee, if we can just think about it and coordinate maybe with Mr. Hollinger, would be, we had our, one of our board meetings at the school
Yes.
this year. But maybe to do that based on semester, like, so one in the first semester, one in the second
Oh,
semester
okay.
there, just to help
Yeah.
accommodate, and give these kids the best opportunity they can to see and participate in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. When we did the meeting last year, I think there was, I mean, it was pretty much full.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
With
had
students,
two
so,
2 sessions.
yeah, it was
That's
great.
great.
Okay. Yes, I'll put that in here.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's move on to our MHS club request.
And Mr. Hollinger is here
All
to,
right, Mr. Hollinger, you're up.
I feel like I do this so often.
It's okay. It's great. That means you're still working to find pathways for children to connect.
Okay. 2 clubs up for this one. The first is the Spirit Magazine Club. Are you familiar with the Spirit Magazine? It's a free magazine. Maybe you guys have seen this. So they came to, I don't actually remember how it got started. I have these students here. I don't think they are. Either they came to the students or the students came to the Spirit Magazine. Regardless, they wanted high school updates and a student voice in this magazine, which I think is a really wonderful idea. We don't have a newspaper at the high school, but I'd love to have something like that or move more towards journalism. And so they wanted to do this, but they realized if they wanted it to be sustainable, so more than just happening this year with the seniors they have this year, they wanted to make it a club so that they could kind of bring in some underclassmen as well that would then keep it going in years to come. And so they had, they did like a meeting to just gauge interest, and there was about 20 kids that showed up, and like 15 of those were underclassmen. So mission accomplished there. The club is approved. So what they'll be doing is they'll be writing articles for the magazine, kind of just giving that student voice as part of the magazine, but highlighting a lot of what's going on at the high school as well at the same time. So that's that one. And then the second was Warhammer. Warhammer, you guys might have to help me with this one. So it's, I think it's a game, but a large part of it is they have these figurines that they paint and put together, and that's a big portion of it as well. So it's something that's popular with a certain group at the school. And the student came and said, hey, I want to start this. Mr. Sharp is very familiar with it. He's one of our teachers. And so they would meet in his room to kind of get into this hobby and bond over Warhammer.
Works.
And I know the couple that run the Spirit Magazine, are great people. They've helped their school and helped do some really nice articles for us, Bud and Julie. So that would be great.
Yeah, their goal even with it is they eventually would like the students, once they get it going, to even try to sell some ad space within the magazine, and that money would come back to the school.
That's a great
to the club
idea.
and to the school. So it's kind of that 2 sides of journalism where you're creating it and then also making it profitable as well. It's kind of neat, I thought.
That is, for sure.
That's
And,
fantastic.
Yeah, all non-sponsored, they not requesting funding, they'll just be self-funded fundraising.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to E, our district property appraisal.
see, if you want to roll up to where it's got those 4 with the valuations. So as you recall, we had decided in December to do an appraisal of this lot, the lot that our the red brick building and maintenance is on, the lot the rec center is on, and then the lot that's back here, that would be where our tennis courts and softball areas are at, just to get an idea. And then we ask for evaluation of the entire amount. So the appraisal came in. Parcel 1 is the district office section of that, and that actually runs this whole length of Viking Avenue down until you get to the baseball field. That one came in with an appraised value of $640,000. Parcel 2, which is the rec center section, would be the just about the center of the parking area there. That lot was the 1.08 million. The parcel that includes the maintenance shop and the red brick building came in at 850,000. And then the parcel on the back side where the tennis courts and the baseball field are valued at 2.4. While as you look at all of them together, I feel you come to a total of 5.2 million if it were sold as one thing. And I say sold as, just not because we've discussed any kind of plans to sell, but as we're looking for different options, as we're moving along, recognizing that some of the, when we're trying to get bonds and things, not all those things are coming through bond voting and things like that. So we may have to look at different options. And in order to be able to make those decisions, we needed to have those values. So this now allows us to have those make it as options become available to the district. You as board now have that information to be able to share as we're going through. So again, no plans. I would not be making any plans recommending any kind of action to sell or anything in the immediate future. But as we start making other plans, as we continue to grow, we may need to take some of those into consideration. So any questions on the valuation?
No.
No,
Thank you for
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we were thinking.
Yep. It was in line with what we anticipated. And, they have to take into consideration the condition of the buildings. So in some cases, they're taking into the idea of the building as a usable building, and others it's, okay, they would buy the land, but they not be utilizing the building, so they'd be demolishing the building.
Yeah.
So a lot of those factors going into it. The full report is like, I'm going to tell you, 182 pages. A lot of photos and things that they took throughout that. So if there's ever a need to go into a full report, what we put on the other was just a summary of those.
What did they charge for the appraisal?
I don't remember exactly. I want to say it's around 6,000.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to House Bill 608.
Okay, House Bill 608. We mentioned this in our last meeting, but we did get that is the House bill that would allow for schools that utilize the cooperative fund, if they are able to use that because they failed multiple bonds, would make it so they don't have to go out and run a bond one more time before they have access to money. This was something that we were looking at that is a concern, because we'd be having to run that bond in May and then run a levy alongside that. And that would be a confusing thing for our patrons. Obviously, the cooperative fund made it so that we have the funds. We would have the funds to build the elementary school, so we were able to move forward. Between that and the modernization funds, it means that we can build a school with no tax to our local. There's no local tax that makes that happen. It's all coming from the modernization funds or plus those cooperative funds that come from the state. So anyway, that went through the House Education Committee, the full House, the Senate Education Committee, and the full Senate. All of the votes were unanimously in favor. It went to the governor's desk and was signed today
Nice.
by the governor. So that is an official thing that we officially do not have to run the bond in order to access the money to build the elementary school. So we can keep that process moving forward. And when we go to the May election, assuming the board determines to go for a levy, that we'll just have that levy on there.
Just to be clear though, like bonding for schools is still a thing. This is a very,
Yes.
this is a niche opportunity that we had with a program that existed. So in the future, if we need to build more, we'll still have to go through that same bond process.
That is correct.
Very likely won't necessarily have access to these
Correct.
cooperative funds.
Correct. Any other questions on House Bill 608?
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, very good. news.
Fantastic.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to the supplemental levy.
All right, let's see. Would you like to talk about the survey first before we
Yes.
go into the language of the
Yes,
the levy?
please.
Okay. So as we bring up the survey, we put the survey out soon after our February board meeting. We received 833 responses to that survey. One of the questions was your average opinion of Middleton School District on a scale of 1 to 10. The opinion was an 8 on average. Students, you can see there the number of students that you have is that number of people who participated who had students in school was 675. Those who didn't have students in school, 121. So you can see that's overwhelmingly parents that were taking the survey. See that for the most part, students that they had students in the high school and middle school. The majority of those that took the survey are registered to vote in Canyon County. The majority are also planning to vote in the upcoming election. And the majority say that they typically support school bonds and levies, with 571 saying yes to that and 111 saying no. The specific question we were asking was regarding the difference between a $1.9 million request for the election and a $1.5 million. And we went through all those, what that meant. In November, we ran a bond for 2.4 because that's what it would take to maintain all of those services. The 1.9 amount reflects some cuts, but not huge cuts. The 1.5 would be more cuts from what we're presently providing to our students. And then obviously if the levy were to fail completely, we would be cutting all of those areas for the coming school year. And we do not have another opportunity after this levy to run that could affect the 2026-2027 school year. So if it doesn't pass in May, those cuts will come into play. As we look at the results, option 1, the one on the left, was for the $1.9 million levy, and option 2 is the $1.5 million levy. As you can see, the difference there, it's not huge, but there is a significant difference that would be in support of the 1.9. As you look at the feedback, we only asked for feedback if they said no, that they wouldn't vote for the levy. And I think it's important as we talk about this feedback that it's going to be for those that were saying no. We wanted to know why they said no. We didn't ask the ones who said yes why they said yes. So it's going to be skewed that way on purpose. Some of the top themes for option 1, for those that said they would not vote for option 1, is yeah, as you would expect, just overall taxes and funding, knowing that the levy represents a tax, and feeling that the taxes are too high. Curriculum instruction, that a lot of the folks that were voting no on some of these, that they would not vote in favor of the levy, is because they were voting in favor of the other amount. And so for some of them, it was, I would vote for the 1.9. I would say no to 1.5 because I don't want to cut curriculum more. Others would say no because they don't feel like we should be approving the curriculum at all. The most of those comments that came in supported staff not wanting to see cuts to staff and not wanting to see cuts to our security programs. That was where the majority of the support in those comments came. They felt like, and I'm just doing a summary here, people that took the survey would express opposition to any cuts to teachers or instructional staff, viewing this as directly impacting the quality of education and possibly raising class sizes and lowering the amount of support that their students would get. There was an expressed desire for more transparency and detailed information from the district on how funds are being allocated and spent. That was in both the 1.9 and 1.5 responses. And I say that I do want to make it clear that another question we asked was, we gave them information about an information night that we would be holding. We held that information night last week. On the survey, we had 133 parents or respondents say that they would plan on attending that night. Again, trying to provide that transparency for our patrons. So we had 133 that said that they would come, but only 8 actually attended that night. The 8 that attended had a lot of good questions, and we were able to work through. We spent almost 2 hours with those 8 people working through answers. And I guess I would just invite, as you have conversations with patrons, we're always open to having those conversations. I can sit down and talk through all of the, all of our, how the money comes in, how the money goes out, all of our bills, and everything that the district pays is on the website each month. So these are things that are available, but I know that it's complicated, and I know that sometimes it's hard for people to take all that information in. So that was one of the reasons we were trying to have that meeting the other night. Trying to think if there's any other specific themes that came out.
Mark,
Yes, please.
one of the things I noticed, I mean, what you said as far as the safety and the security, and then teachers as well, but I think the third one, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, is that they felt like curriculum. I mean, there were some that didn't agree to spend that much on curriculum, but there were many that said curriculum is very important.
Yes, that is correct. And
Yeah.
so they were voting,
So-
if they were voting no on 1.5, it was because they didn't want to see, some of them didn't want to see further cuts to curriculum. So they were voting yes on 1.9 and no on 1.5.
Yeah,
Yep,
Well,
correct.
what really, go ahead, Cindy, sorry.
no, that's fine, go ahead.
What really stands out to me is that these respondents, 80% of them have students in school. So I would expect that they would want more better.
Right.
Unfortunately, 80% of those that vote no don't have kids in school, and that's a big problem.
Well, you have about a third of our parents that are registered voters. And then in our last election, only a third of those parents who were registered voted. And so you have about 1/6 of our parents are voted in the November election. So that is something that we absolutely have to take into account. It was a conversation we had with staff last week. trying to find ways that we can help people get registered and get to the polls. Because we do want to make sure that it's, that everybody's having an opportunity to vote.
And yeah, this segment that was actually participated in the survey, if that was a reflection of the actual segment of the voters, it would be like, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd probably get to 2.6 or whatever.
Right.
But unfortunately, this is just a very.
This is one small, yeah, you can't use this as a reflection of the entire community.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's great to hear from the parents though in the survey, but
I think,
yeah, we just need to say, okay, now why don't you get out and vote?
yeah, and that's really it. Like, I think that, like we talked about last time, I think that apathy is and I don't say that in a mean way. Like everybody has a life. They've got kids to take care of and they got to work. And so going to and from work and stopping at a polling station where you got to stand in a line is, you know, kids are in the car bouncing around or at home, whatever. It's a hard thing to ask, but it's also how this whole system runs. So
Yeah, it tends to be the retired people that maybe are, you know, have the time on their hands and they're the ones that wander down to vote and they're like, our kids are grown, why do we care? You know, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, our desire is to offer the best education we can to the next generation that will end up supporting our generation
Right.
soon. So I'm hoping we can motivate everybody to move forward.
yeah. Any other questions on the survey or comments? If not, the next step would be for you as a board to make a determination of which amount you'd like to pursue. And then once you've done that, Brandon Helgeson from
Idaho News.
Brandon
Holly Drops.
Holly Troxel, thank you. Got about 5 of them in my head. Holly Troxel is here and he can walk through that language with us.
Perfect.
So do we need to decide on the amount of this meeting?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes,
we
do.
have to turn this
With the
in on the
deadline.
13th,
Yeah, we have to.
the end of this week.
Yeah, okay.
Is that an action item you want to do? Like,
Well,
No,
I don't know that we need to do the
Well, we need to
action item,
discuss
but
what we
make
wanna
a
do.
determination
Yeah.
of which amount so that Brandon can give us the language of the correct. We have both on both
Yes.
the 1.5 language and 1.9 on our board agenda, but it would just be selecting one.
and I from my looking at the results, like the onus is on us and to do our very best to get people out to vote, but clearly the people that have kids in school are looking to get the best education, and my inclination would be to go towards the 1.9.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to matter on the 1.5 to 1.9. I mean, the parents want the 1.9, so I mean, we can try that.
But you're talking maybe $11.
Yeah, for difference in
Yeah.
the typical homeowner.
Yeah.
And I think too, there needs to be to clarify, yes, there's more houses being built in Middleton. That doesn't mean we get the tax dollars. It just means the money we're asking for, it puts another house in there to divide that money, that one lump sum.
Right, and I think that's something that we talked about this in our meeting the other night, that in 2016, between our high school bond and our supplemental levy, homeowners were paying $527 per 100,000.
Yes.
So on a house that, you know, they were getting taxed on $500,000 value of their house, they were paying $2,600 in taxes towards the school. Now, this last year, it was $81. You know, it's an 85% reduction. And I know that taxes are still taxes. It's still money out of people's pockets. But what we've been doing is finding ways to bring that tax down. And it's not just us, it's our legislature passed property tax relief dollars, property tax relief bills, making it so that we could get that
Well, and even the
amount down.
modernization funds help. They're trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
And so I think it's important that even though there is that concern of taxes, we have been getting that down piece by piece, either by dividing it amongst the people who are moving in, or by these other programs that are able to put money towards even the elementary school, us going for that the cooperative fund. That means we don't have to use
All the modernization.
modernization funds
Yeah.
for portables and things to house our students. So I think there's some positives here that we can lean on as well.
And then remind me how the high school bond is sunsetting.
Yes, in
2030?
2031, 2032, it will be, but the last two payments are actually quite small. They're not the whole $4 million that we've been making each month either.
So we're really
We're close.
dropping it down.
Yeah.
So, and at each year it drops successively, right? Like it keeps going. So we're not that far out of it leveling out and or going below.
Yes.
Okay.
So any further, oh, sorry.
Go
Cindy.
ahead, Cindy.
I just wanted to say that I got the feeling that the 1.9 was the direction that the majority of the people felt we should go, and I agree.
Okay. So shall we have Brandon come up? Brandon,
Please.
would you mind coming to the podium, and do you mind bringing up the 1.9? Okay.
Well, hello, everybody again. It's good to see you. I was just here, I believe it was back in November. The district was running its bond, which is no longer necessary after the cooperative loan award. So, I'm sorry, I was supposed to use that word, but the cooperative funding award. So congrats on that. But today, these resolutions I think are probably getting relatively familiar for everybody, but just wanted to just walk quickly through and be available to answer any questions. So for you is the supplemental levy resolution for the 1.986 supplemental levy. And the resolution's fairly wordy, but does mainly three things or four things that the board is making a finding that there's a need for a supplemental levy for 2 years in that amount, calling the election to be held on May 19th, and setting forth the form of the ballot that would be before voters and the form of the notice that the county clerks publish giving notice of the election is required under state law. But the ballot really is, I think, where a lot of the focus is, and it's prescribed by statute in terms of what's supposed to go in there. But you'll see the breakdown if you scroll down a little bit. It starts off with a breakdown of the amount that's of those levy funds that are allocated and what purpose they're being used for. I know it was mentioned earlier that some people are looking for more transparency, and there's a balance to strike on the ballot. You only have so much word space. If you want to make it even more wordy, you certainly could, but people don't like reading ballots that are very long. So, and there's already so many things that are required. So we've struck a balance to kind of give the district flexibility within these categories, but still give voters transparency when they're going to the ballot box. But as you can see, here's the breakdown, which matches what was just shown on the survey earlier for this amount. And the district is, stuck with these categories in terms of the categories you're spending, which is another reason you don't want to get too specific in case, in the future, some sort of program phases out and you're like, well, we're stuck because we were way too specific. But you're not completely beholden to these amounts. The district reports this every year of here's what we said on the ballot, here's how we actually spent it. But so you're stuck with the categories, but the amounts are flexible. It's all approximations, making your best effort to approximate what you're spending. But that's the breakdown there. And then after that is the actual question asking for that levy for 1.9 million a year for 2 years. And then after that's the tax impact disclosure. So if you scroll down a little bit, down to the tax impact, which is, you have this highlighted area here. So there's one more decision the board may want to make is you're required to, state that first line with the average annual cost of the taxpayer is on a per $100,000 basis, which is the 41 figure. But since the district has an existing levy, that's the 1.5 million that's going to be expiring at the same time,
This is replacing that. So you're allowed to say on the ballot, okay, here's what the current cost of the existing levy that this is replacing is, which is that $31. And then saying, therefore, if this one's approved, then the tax is expected to increase by $10 per 100,000. That's optional language. So everything else on here is required, but we've highlighted, bracketed it. But depending on if you want to include that language, you're more than welcome to. Sometimes it's pretty helpful, especially in a district like Middleton, where you guys have, you get your facilities funds, that property tax relief funds that go to offset your bond payments. And then it will, trickle down and start offsetting, the cooperative funds after the bonds are paid off. So, a lot of districts have had trouble where you can't include this kind of language because their supplemental levies currently being offset by those facilities funds. So, we'd have to say, well, it costs you nothing right now, but you're not allowed to take those funds into account when you're projecting the amount of the new levy, because who knows if you'll get the funds next year. I mean, you expect it, but you never know that. So then it looks like a huge increase. But here, it might be helpful just to explain to voters that it's not a whole new tax. It's really just an increase of that $10. So I think that covers the supplemental resolution, but if you have any questions, happy to answer.
And can I actually go back up on this area right here where it says resource officer? We've been discussing that as resource officer and security officers. Do we need to be more specific? The resource officer being a school resource officer through our local police department, and the security officer being a contracted security officer. Do we need to be more specific on that category, or can resource officer be inclusive of both?
I think, you might want to just add S at the end, since it's funding more than one resource
Officers,
officer
yeah.
position. So
Okay.
if,
Or could you do /security?
yeah, you could do resource/security officers.
So when we run this, we just need to make sure, as we make the motion, make it clear that we're
amendment.
making that slight adjustment.
Yeah, I'll do that as amended.
I like adding the security resource /security officers.
Mhm.
I think that makes it more apparent there.
Yeah.
And I also like the highlighted section. I think that's a good explanation.
I think so. Can we request it's highlighted on the ballot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish.
really.
I don't know if they have those capabilities.
We're asking for
Type is
magic,
all
please.
caps. But yeah, that makes sense to include.
We can't make it all caps either.
No, I'm sure there's probably some state code that says no.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Cindy?
No, I totally agree with the resource/security officer, because there was discussion and actual responses that talked about both.
Yeah.
And to make it plural, officers.
Officers, yeah.
Yeah, officers.
Resource/security officers.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds
Perfect.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's move on to
H.
H. Oh, the Middleton Education I thought that was H, sorry. Let's move on to 8, Education Foundation.
And this is just a quick update that the Middleton Education Foundation has had their first meeting with new prospective board members. But we, the way that that's going to be organized, it would be beneficial to have one of our board members serve as a board member on the Education Foundation. It would not be something where they could, where this board could overrule or overpower what
Just-
decisions they're making, but having somebody from this
Yep.
board, I think, is always a positive thing, keeping those things, the visions aligned. So it would be helpful if if there were an assignment made for.
I would love to see Cindy do that. Would you do that, Cindy?
Yes, I would.
Not today.
No, I'm not doing it today. I just need to know when the
Will
meetings are.
you, just for the room's sake, let them know what that foundation is?
Oh, yeah, so the Education Foundation is a charitable foundation it's been in a, we'll call it an infant form for the last several years, just
It's
kind of
been
being
incubating.
there you go. But it's one where they can provide, different service opportunities. They can receive donations, they can look for donations, they can look for grants, they can, their whole goal is to improve education in the city of Middleton, or the Middleton School District. And it's one that when you have it growing, and oftentimes it can include alumni associations, building community,
When you can create scholarships.
There's all kinds of benefits that can come from a strong education foundation. So we're looking to build that out here in our district.
Very good, thank you. Now we can talk about the new elementary naming guidelines.
Okay, so we are getting ready to send out requests from our community on the possible names for the new elementary school, especially now that we're fully moving forward with that. And just if there are specific guidelines or things that as a board you'd like to make sure, we do or don't do, or consider or not consider, I think would be a time to make sure that we do that. That way, when we send it out, it's clear what we're trying to accomplish. And so if there's anything that you would like to see, make sure of, for instance, an example of something you might want to make sure of is that it's Middleton centric, that it is dealing with either Middleton's history or Middleton's geography or something like that. And, making sure that whatever name we choose, it's something that has to do with Middleton. That could be an example of something that you would ask. Like I said, it just helps us. We can leave it pretty wide open, but if there's things that we know we want, I think it's worth putting that out there to start with.
I like the idea of the Middleton geography.
Well, and that's what the existing elementary schools, you have Purple Sage because it's by Purple Sage Golf Course, Mill Creek, it's on Mill Creek. And so it seems like a school that's going to be on the very eastern edge.
We'll call it King Elementary. It's on Kingsbury.
Or, something with the name East in it because it is so far east of the rest of the district. It might be helpful.
I mean, it's where we kind of draw our boundary, right? It's really like, it's a pretty important location. So I think that's something that's very Middleton centric because it needs to be very uniquely Middleton district. And also I would say that like names of people, it's just not consistent with all the other things that we've done. So let's just try and keep it somewhat consistent.
I like the geography idea.
Yeah, and we're so close to the eastern edge of the county canyon, and to distinguish it between just across the border into Ada County. That's where something like East Canyon, something
Or Canada.
Something that would distinguish it from Ada County because you're so close there, and distinguishes it as part of our school district. Something like that. Just the idea.
Because and I should have mentioned, we'll also be putting out for mascots as well. All of our elementary schools, even though they all feed into the Middleton High School and the Vikings, each of our elementary schools have
What do we have? We have a horse, we have Mustangs,
Mustangs,
the
Hawks.
the
Coyotes.
Hawks, and the Coyotes.
Hawks.
So we just need like whistle pigs or
Potato diggers.
something.
Gophers.
Well, all of those are great ideas. We'll let the community come up with some others.
Yes, we will let them.
We're just gonna get the idea train rolling.
That's right.
And that goes for any of you, high school students.
Yes,
You can put
please.
your thoughts in too. And just know that they will be screened.
Yeah. Nothing you would say to a 3-year-old.
Right. Okay, anything else that you'd like me to consider as I put that out to our community?
Nope.
No, let's
I'm excited to see what they
get
say.
their involvement.
Okay, perfect.
Will we decide the name, or will we weigh it, knock it down to many and then
What we were
Or
looking.
decide?
Yeah, what we were looking at is putting a small committee together to go through and narrow it down, and then have that, once it's narrowed down, we'll have those narrowed down, brought before you as a board, and then you as a board can decide to put it out there right then, or, decide right then, or you can put it out to the public after that and just say, we're good with any of these, we can let the
Yeah.
community vote,
I'm good with
That's
that.
really up to you, but I think the first step would just be narrowing it down to some of the names that we have and putting that in front of you as a board to start with.
I like
good.
that. I also like putting it back and letting them pick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Let's talk about early site planning workshop.
so let's bring up my email here. Our architects and builders have been working on what they call it an early site package approach to getting the bids. And it's a way of being able to get the bids out to the public in a way that kind of speeds up the process. It just would allow them to get moving on the project more quickly, which, at this point, we still are in a good window to be able to have it completed by the fall of 27. And so they would like to go through with that early site planning approach, but they wanted to be able to have an opportunity within a workshop setting with the board to be able to explain what that would be. As you know, a workshop is still an open meeting, people can come, but it's a lot less formalized. It's much more about somebody coming in and teaching and learning, being able to ask questions throughout. So our builders and architects are available for putting a workshop like that together. Just wanted to see if that's something that you as a board were interested in. And we have sometimes this week and the week after spring break that we could put that together.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Probably the week after spring.
week after
Yeah.
spring break?
Yeah.
We're looking the 25th or 26th.
That is negotiations.
Yeah. And the timing could be during the day, could be whatever timing is best for you. Doesn't have to necessarily be an evening.
I think I'd prefer an evening just because I would give other people an opportunity to come and hear and understand as well. Like if we do it during the day, it will be a little less accessible, I think.
Okay.
If we do during the day, then in the morning's better for me, but yeah, it'd be great if I could be there. I would really, I know Jake and I have been involved with quite a few of these other workshops before too. And it's great to be involved with this new elementary school,
So do we have a preference on 25th or 26th, or would either of those work?
I think either of those look pretty good.
yeah.
Either one.
Either one? Okay. I will reach out then to our builders and see which of those fits best within their schedule and then get back. And then that'll be something that we'll publicize just like we do a board meeting.
Yeah, whichever one is rain, because that's the best.
Okay, I'll find that.
Yeah.
I'll use the crystal ball on
Yeah.
that.
Well, and there's one thing I have on my calendar that on the 26th, I have that, I don't know if it's still in place or if the date's gonna change, but I had board visit to MMS,
Yep.
to the middle school.
Yep, that is correct.
So I just wanted to bring that up.
So we'd want to make
Thanks,
sure and not
Cindy.
try and do it during the day. So I'll be looking for an evening
Okay.
date to start with.
Can I call in maybe,
Absolutely.
Yes.
We can make that work.
if need be? Okay.
No, I think you should, Colin. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to after-school program partnership request.
Do you want to talk to that one?
Sure,
Yeah.
and we're gonna bring this before the board, but we've had a couple other opportunities with grants and different things that have different moving parts. So we would like to table this month and then bring it back next month, once we have a better idea of some directions we wanna go with it. Initially, we were looking just as a private entity to come in and do that. And, there's just some other moving parts that we may be able to make it a more robust program than what we
Oh,
originally thought.
nice. Okay.
Could you hear okay, Cindy?
Was, is it Paige?
No, it's
That's
Lisa.
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, that's what I thought. Okay, do you want to table this?
Yes.
Yeah, for this meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'd make
Need an
I'd make a
action.
quick motion to table this until, what, next month?
Yeah.
Until next month's meeting.
There is a spot within the action
Okay.
items.
Is there?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Okay. Let's go to legislative updates.
Okay, just wanted to walk through a couple of things from the district perspective that are currently or have recently had motion on them in the legislature. There was a law that was proposed to make it so that all schools had to start school after Labor Day. That the control for that didn't rest with the school board. The rest of the calendar would, but everybody had to start after Labor Day. That one did not pass the House Committee. There was another that was saying that was trying to legislate recess as that you had to have 20 minutes of recess a day, kindergarten through 5th grade, which everybody does, and
Probably
we
more
do
than
here in
that,
Middleton.
yeah.
We do quite a bit more. But there was also a provision that no student could be kept in from recess for any reason at all. And that's where kind of the debate centered, and it actually was at the House floor today and did not pass. There was another bill that was for a constitutional amendment that was giving the Idaho Constitution amendment that would kind of make it codified that what a parent's rights are as far as the education of their child. That also did not pass. The 608 did pass. There are still budget bills that are they were supposed to be voted on today. They were pulled for further discussion on our education budget bills. As of right now, it's still being proposed that there would not be cuts to education. The IDLA, there's quite a few bills out there trying to govern how IDLA would work. The JFAC, or the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee, has made the recommendation to cut $10 million from IDLA's budget. There are multiple different bills that have been trying to address how that $10
Identify how
million.
that will be.
There was one bill that tried to eliminate IDLA completely, and that one did not get a hearing.
That's insane.
The others have had a hearing and are working through the process. We expect more movement and possibly different bills to be introduced on IDLA.
Where's the 60-second bill?
60-second.
Silence.
That is, I think that's maybe on the governor's desk. I don't have that right up, but I can find out.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
A friend at another district said they figured out it was like 2 days of instruction time.
The whole
Interesting.
year worth 1 minute
Yeah.
school day.
So there's that one. There's a special ed regional centers that was proposed that did
Mhm.
not gain any traction. But there's another special ed bill that has received traction in terms of providing additional funding for,
Was it $5 million?
yeah.
I think
And it
it's
was
$5 million.
additional funding for the students with very significant
Like interpreters
costs,
and things
interpreters,
like that.
special aids, special facilities, that the district would still be responsible for a portion, but once it hit, like $30,000, then anything above that would be paid for by this fund. So that one is still moving, but it hasn't passed everything yet. So those are the ones that are kind of on our radar right now. We'll see if there's others that are.
Is the strategic, does that strategic,
It's, the
Have a-
strategic planning is still, it has a hearing, but it hasn't.
it doesn't have an assigned number
Doesn't
yet.
have an assigned number.
I think they're still trying to work details out on that.
Well, I think it has an assigned number. I don't think it has a hearing.
Hasn't
scheduled
had a
yet.
hearing,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions or comments on legislation?
Very interesting.
All right. America 250.
Okay, this, we've had a meeting with, the city of Middleton. We've had, and the Chamber of Commerce and Greater Middleton Parks and Rec. And what we're looking at is another part of the celebration leading up to the 4th of July. That would include possibly a concert with students from Middleton School District. We'd be looking at, the Parks and Rec is looking at different activities that they might be able to support. And all of these in just as things leading up to, we've talked about bringing in some of our political leaders. We're planning to reach out even as far as Governor, former Governor Butch Otter. We've looked at a number of different options. That committee is getting back together again later this week. We've started reaching out to our musical groups, all the way down into our elementaries. So there'll be a lot of opportunities for students to participate as we're building that up. So that's what we're doing right now. If there's any other thoughts or suggestions, I'm happy to listen to them.
Would the activities be also kind of centered around the middle school and the stadium there, or is it a number of?
It depends on the activities, a lot of different events. I mean, they've even talked about bringing back, I think it used to be
Soapbox cars.
soapbox cars,
Yeah,
you know, and they used to do those soapbox cars.
down your road, Cindy. They want to do soapbox cars.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different. There's a lot of different activities though that they're looking at, bringing back a dance over here at the rec center, some things, so.
Cool.
Anyway, I'll keep you updated as a board on how we do.
Perfect. All right, students, you've been here, you've been good. Come get your agenda signed, please. Unless you want to stay for policy. All right, let's move on to policy.
Okay, so these are, the third readings. So if you remember last month, we brought back, 2320, 23P1, and 23F1, which are all kind of together in that policy bundle. So in front of you are what the final drafts would look like tonight. And then 3525 is the immunization requirements. So those are the most recent updates through ISBA to ensure that they align with new legal requirements. Same with 2320, those are just to update and make sure it's legal requirements as well, with some of the changes that happened last legislative session. And then 2700 PR1, if you remember, we did table that one last month. We do have the final copy in front of you this month as well.
And Donnie's here.
And Mr. Hollinger's here to answer questions on that one.
And on that one, the copy that you have, the changes that were made from the last time we made changes are the ones that are highlighted on that. Would you mind?
Do you want that, Brian?
Yeah, let's bring that one up.
Which one was that?
The high school graduation requirements, number 2700.
Okay.
Mr. Hollinger, do you mind coming and talking just to the 504s and the below basic?
Yeah.
Gradually moving into
Adjustment
it.
we made for the class of 2026 or 2027.
And I can scroll to that area too if that helps.
Yeah, good. So it's most of the same as we presented it last time, but something we considered is for the class of 2027, we would like So if you know how ISATs work, you get a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4. 3 and 4 are considered proficient. That's where we want our students to get to, is 3s and 4s. After the class of 2027, class of 2028, 29, and so on, we want them to at least get a 3 or a 4. With the class of 2027, because we dropped this on them midway through their junior year, and a good amount of juniors aren't taking math, especially their junior year, they're gonna take it their senior year, because they only take 3 years to graduate. We felt like, okay, maybe it's not quite fair to put quite the same burden on them. So we decided they would need to at least score a 2 or higher to not have a remedial class for their senior year. And then next year we'll raise the standard, and so we get 3 or higher, basically that proficient or higher, going forward with the classes after 2027.
That actually gives us a little bit of time to work through what that remedial class will look like with a smaller sample size. We do not have a lot of our students that are hitting in that below basic range. And if they are and are on an IEP, have an IEP, and we added the language for 504, which wasn't in there before. So making sure that students with an IEP or a 504 will address this whole thing based on what their IEP team, 504 team determined. It allows for us to work through that.
I think it's important to note, though, that having a 504 does not exempt them from showing some sort of proficiency. But we will provide the appropriate supports to allow them to demonstrate proficiency if they are proficient.
Well, I think it's such a good idea. Go ahead, Cindy.
What did Mr. Hullinger say about 504? I missed part of it.
He just said that 504 doesn't exempt them from taking a test. So just having a 504, you wouldn't be able to write into a 504 plan, they don't have to take the test. But what it would put in there is that we would provide the specific supports that child needs in order to be able to show their actual abilities on the test.
So the accommodations would note what basically needed to be with testing,
Correct.
right?
That is correct. It just would not exempt them from testing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and it's one of those ideas that's so good, you wonder why not all high schools require it, And it's, one question I have is, what percentage of the students or potential graduates do you think you'll have to accommodate into some
Yeah,
sort
has
of-
there been any
Yeah,
You think
data
we'll
looked
need,
at?
we'll need a remedial class?
do you think you will? Yeah,
How many do you think we will? I'm thinking with the class of 2027, so if we just took our numbers without doing this, it's about 50% of our students would need the remedial math if we're going on the standard of proficiency, and about 30% of our students would need remedial English based on proficiency. Those numbers shrink tremendously if you take out all our special education students, because they are already getting that remedial class in their academic support. And then if we're just talking those who are the level 1 students, it shrinks even more. So I would guess it's closer to like 10% of math-ish and 5 to 7% of English for English of the students. But that's a guess, and that's probably an optimistic guess. You could say 15 and 10.
And we see quite a bit of variation from cohort to cohort.
Oh, yeah.
As far as how that
Well,
goes.
do you anticipate these standards having an impact on how much attention kids are giving to this
Yes,
test?
and that's part of this as well. Well, that they will pay more attention to this. In fact, we've already seen it because we give the interim ISAT as well, and this is anecdotal evidence, but students have taken that more seriously, and the teachers have even observed that because kids want to know where they stood, right? At the same time, we've also seen teachers take those standards more seriously, and they're important standards. If you look at it, and they realize, oh, it's part of this burden's on us, the ownership's on us as teachers, and frankly, us as administrators, that we're ensuring that we're teaching these standards before they go, because there is just more teeth in it now. Well, assuming this policy passes.
And another thing I think we need to make sure that we say publicly, there were several of the concerns that came up as we talked about this in January and shared that out with parents, is why are you waiting until their junior year to give any kind of intervention? But I think it's important that we, as we talk about that it's not that we're waiting
No.
till their junior year. We're just adding one more
Just saying,
intervention
yes.
in their junior year, because from the minute they enter as kindergartners, we have different steps that we can take to intervene. When you get into the middle and high school levels, there are multiple types of courses, study seal courses, and other, if a student fails a course, they have to take the course again. All of these things start moving us towards an intervention that's helping that student. And we can improve in all of those. But we felt like this was just one final step that we can say, okay, you didn't get it here. Here's what we're gonna do to see if we can fill any of those holes before we send you out to the world.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a better position to speak to that since I went to the science curriculum workshop that we had. I sat with a lot of teachers that were fully committed. I mean, they're fighting for more resources to teach our kids better. I sat with a very passionate fifth grade science teacher. She was amazing, and like she was like, no, I need this because this allows me to pull in reading comprehension and writing and all these different things into science. So I mean, these kids are not, this is not like, we just kind of let you float and we're trying to catch you at the very end. Our teachers are very passionate about making sure that our kids are moving along with these types of skills along the way. And those, that was a great meeting. Like we really had those are some hard conversations because we're looking at curriculum, trying to figure out what to get and how much to spend and how we can adjust and supplement and bring stuff in. So it was really eye-opening and definitely kudos to our teachers and their hard work for what they're trying to do with our kids the whole way through.
Well, and what I see as being really important to this is for the students that aren't exactly academic heavyweights, but they just want to know, what do I need to do to get out of here? And this whole process is a process of communication where it's establishing these firm guardrails so they can see, oh man, I got to do this to get through here. And I think that's going to be very helpful to these students that, haven't really paid that much attention and until it's staring them right in the face, like, oh yeah. And that's why I think this is a great idea, great deal. Yeah.
Is there a possibility is it going to be talked about in ninth grade or as they transition from eighth grade to ninth?
Talked about in what sense, Cindy?
Like informed about what they have to do to graduate.
To know that they've got to get this proficiency in order to graduate.
The word's already getting out some, so the freshmen, I've had freshmen come up to me and ask, for clarification, but yes, that will be emphasized to them. In fact, if this policy is approved, my plan is to go and talk to each class in their individual English classes and just take questions on from them, explain the policy so it's very clear, and then just field any questions that they may have about it. So we'll hit all of them that way. But then, as freshmen come in next year, so the incoming freshmen, we'll cover all this with them as well, so that it's very clear to them, like, hey, this is something that matters. It's not the most important thing, but it is an important thing. These assessments that we give you before you finish high school.
And if we see that this is something that we're seeing positive results from, there's applications we could make at the middle school in a similar fashion at the elementary school that could, again, just help lend the seriousness of what the situations are for our students. So,
Well, I'm going to say that I'm not sure that I totally support this, because I feel it needs to be done. Third graders need to be leaving reading when they go into fourth grade. Or else fourth, fifth, and through middle school are going to be a struggle.
You're
Yeah,
right.
So-
Baby steps though, baby steps.
Well, I
I
think,
You
realize,
got
but
this.
I understand some of those parents that said, why are you waiting till junior year?
well, and again, I think something that, Mrs. Goodson shared this evening is a good example of what we're talking about there in terms of where our students are coming as they move out. We sometimes get caught looking at that at the elementary level on
Mhm.
those ISATs on, are they level 1, 2, or 3? And we're so focused on 1, 2, or 3 that we're not really talking about whether they're reading, what grade level are they actually reading at? And when we look at,
Exactly.
And that
when
they
we
really
look at
can
how
read
they're-
it, just, yeah.
when we look at how they're reading on grade level, they're actually showing us that they are on grade level as a whole.
Yeah.
And so I think those are things that we can keep developing and strengthening. But I can say confidently that we're providing those interventions with our students throughout their K-12 experience. And there's places we can do better, but I think this is a good step.
Can I have one more thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cindy, this is Johnny again, one more thing. I think that the ultimate goal of coming into the Middleton School District is that you leave with a diploma, right? That's, it's not just a high school diploma, it's a diploma that comes from what they learned in third grade as well, because it all builds. And I think if we're asking more of and have a higher standard for what they leave with us or for getting that diploma, then I think it will trickle down to our middle school and to our elementary, where they'll start holding them to higher standards as well. And when I say higher standards, I mean being more stringent about doing, the proper remediation, because we know, we have to prepare you to be able to get your diploma. So I know at least at the high school level it'll be that way. In talks with Mark Hinkson at the middle school, I know it's going to affect how they approach things as well. So I do think that we will see a trickle-down effect that makes a difference district-wide.
Just like a clarity.
And I can,
It's like raising the bar. I like it.
Yeah.
But direction with clarity, yeah, and more definition of minimum standards that pass throughout the district.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So your recommendation is to move them all to third reading?
Policy.
All the policies, sorry. It's been a long day. All right, I would entertain a motion for that.
I move that policy 2320 and 23P paren 1, policy 2320F paren 1, policy 3525, policy 2700 PR paren 1 be moved to policy.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Let's move on to action items. I would entertain a motion to approve the use of the school district property MMS for fireworks celebration on July 4th.
Okay, your
Sorry,
turn.
I got a couple more here.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the use of the school property, district property for fireworks on the 4th of July.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I would entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 calendar.
I approve, excuse me, I make a motion that we approve the 2026-2027 calendar.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I would entertain a motion to approve the MHS club requests.
I make a motion that we approve the MHS club requests.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. I would entertain a motion to approve ballot language for the May supplemental levy election with the amended.
And we've got to, if you'll read through, have to start at the beginning, read through section 4.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the supplemental, the ballot language for the May supplemental levy election with the exception of a change
You have to
in,
read it.
Well, We need to
section
start.
4.
We need to
So we
read,
need to read this
starting,
whole,
yeah,
The whole thing.
oh boy.
Yeah, look at you.
just through section 4.
This is what this is.
You got this, Jake.
The following, so I make a motion to approve the following ballot language for our May supplemental levy. School District number 134, Canyon County, State of Idaho, resolution calling for supplemental levy election. Whereas in accordance with section 33802 or 8023 Idaho Code as amended, the Board of Trustees of the School District number 134, Canyon County, State of Idaho, the district has determined there's a need for supplemental levy in the amount of $1,986,209 per year for 2 years for the purpose of paying all lawful expenses or of maintaining and operating the district as further described in the form of ballot questions set forth in section 3 herein for the fiscal years beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2028. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the district as follows. Section 1, that a supplemental levy election be and the same is hereby called to be held in the district on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the district the question set out in the form of the ballot appearing in section 3 hereof. Section 2, that the clerk of Canyon County, Idaho, the county clerk, shall administer and coordinate the election pursuant to and in accordance with Title 34 Idaho Code, Section 3, that the form of the official ballot will be substantially as follows. Official ballot, supplemental levy election, School District number 134, Canyon County, State of Idaho, May 19th, 2026. The Board of Trustees of School District number 134, Canyon County, State of Idaho is seeking authorization to levy a supplemental levy for the following purposes and approximate amounts of levy funds to be allocated to each use, purpose, and I'll just run through the purpose and the amount. Certified teachers, $402,016. Classified staff $374,193. Resource officers
And then /security.
/security officers, $275,000. Pay to participate, $45,000. Curriculum adoption, $500,000. Transportation, $40,000. Technology, $250,000. Building maintenance, $100,000. The total annual levy amount will be $1,986,209 per year. The question, shall the Board of Trustees of the School District number 134, Canyon County, State of Idaho, be authorized and empowered to levy a supplemental levy in the amount of $1,986,209 per year for 2 years, commencing with the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2028 for the purposes stated above, as all as provided in the resolution adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 9th, 2026. The estimated annual cost to the taxpayer on the proposed levy is a tax of $41 per $100,000 of taxable assessed value per year based on current conditions. The proposed levy replaces an existing levy that expires on June 30th, 2026, and that currently costs $31 per $100,000 of taxable assessed value. Therefore, if the proposed levy is approved, the tax per $100,000 of taxable assessed value is expected to increase by $10 per $100,000 of taxable assessed value.
And that's all you
That's
need.
it. Okay. Whew,
Good job, thank you.
I was running out of air.
Passed your reading proficiency exam.
Yeah. Do you have past principal Holger?
Nothing remedial for you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. I would entertain a motion to approve Cindy Powell as the board member for the Education Foundation.
I move that we approve Cindy Powell as board member for a place on the Education Foundation.
Second that, I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 I guess.
You can vote for yourself, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
All right. I would entertain a motion to table the after-school request for proposal.
Well, she can't make. a
I
motion.
can't make a motion.
I move that that we table the after-school request for proposal.
Now you can second it. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Perfect. All right.
I make a motion that we move into executive session as per section 74-2061B Idaho Code to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual students.
Second.
Thank you.
Trustee Dempsey,
Yes.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
and trustee Clark.
Yes.
Thanks, you guys. And let's have a little miniature recess.